Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Morgan Archer. He is an actor, writer from the Midlands, right? You're from Birmingham? Where are you from?
Bradford. I'm from
Bradford.
Yorkshire.
There we go. There we go. But see that accent, see, it's never changed. Nice, nice. Well, welcome to the show, Morgan.
Thank you. Good to be finally on there. We've tried this for a while, but I was on tour, then I was directing something, so it's nice to be able to do it now. I've got a bit of time in between projects.
Good. Yes, yes, yes. Because I feel like this will be a fun interview. Morgan is a character, okay? He's a fun character, never one to hold his tongue. But in a good way, in a good way, in a good way.
Hopefully, yeah, in a good way.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you have like Jamaican roots as well, like myself, don't you?
Yeah, so my mum was born in Aberdeen in St. Elizabeth in Jamaica, which is not too far away from the Appleton Rum Factory. And my
Okay.
dad's family is from Santa Cruz, which is not too far away. So we're kind of in the bundus, as it were, in the jungle side of things.
Yeah.
So when we were in when I was in Jamaica, the only time in I think 2015,
Uh-huh.
it's the only country that I've ever been to
Mhm.
where as soon as you come off the plane, the army with machine guns are taking you to the coach to take you to the hotel. It's the only country I've ever been to. I was like, well, is this how it's going to run?
Wow.
But once you're in the country, when you know
Mhm.
people in the country, it's
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
That's
crazy.
so interesting because I went to Jamaica in January. Didn't have that experience, but
Oh, good. Calm
but
down.
Well, it's funny because I'm like that as well. Like my family's country, so we're in Clarendon, but we're in a very, very small town called Moravia in
Mm.
Clarendon. But most people don't know it. They look at me like, "What?" But I'm like country, country. Okay, I'm on my uncle's farm, right? Okay, like
Wow,
yeah, like I've literally can see my great grandparents with their burial ground. Like literally,
man.
that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
my
yeah,
family is. So yeah, so it's cool. So Morgan, we've known each other for a long time. I was thinking
yes.
before. I've known you since 2017. Do you remember how we first met?
If I remember correctly, and you can correct me
Uh-huh.
if I'm wrong, it
Yeah.
was for a casting on
Mhm.
Star Now, I think it
Yes.
was, for
Yes.
Nate and Jamie.
Uh-huh.
And you were looking for, which was a web series, a very good web
Hmm.
series that people should check out when they have a chance.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it was for a speed dating kind of scenario.
Yes.
And I was like, I was a struggling actor at the time. I think I
Mhm.
had just set up PBM Entertainment, which is the production company that I do a lot of the acting work, writing work, and directing work through. And I was just trying to get as many credits as possible. So I was just literally just doing as much work as I can. And
Mhm.
I saw this, I had a look at the episode, and I thought, okay, this might be a bit of fun.
Mhm.
So I get there. I forget if it was central London,
It
Holborn,
was,
I want to
yes,
say.
Holborn. It was in Holborn and we was in that hotel.
Yeah. And I remember there were you full of energy. We had cameraman there and a lot of the other people. I was like, okay, this is cool. This is nice.
Mhm.
And my obviously there was a lot of things that happened. It was like a 7, 8 day shoot.
Mhm.
But the big thing was you coming up to people and saying, "So who wants to get slapped?" And I was like, well, I don't mind it, just to get a little extra something, something. Because at the
Mhm.
time, I was just in the background, and I was like, well, this would be a bit of fun. And I
Mhm.
just said, I don't even remember who did it, but I just remember it was some
Mhm.
random girl that we met on the day. I just said to her, just as long as you don't mark my face with your nails, because I think she had long nails, I'm
Yeah.
fine. You can slap
Yeah.
me for real. We don't
Yeah.
have to pretend. And she was like,
Mhm.
"Are you sure? Are you sure?" It's like, "Yeah, it's fine, it's fine." So at first, I was thought to myself, she's gonna just slap me, but it's gonna
Mhm.
look weird.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think we did it once,
Uh-huh.
and it kind of grazed me, and you were
Yeah.
like, "Nah, it's not good enough. You kind of need to."
No, I didn't. I did.
You kind of need to put some emphasis. And I just said to her, "Look, it's fine. As long as you don't scratch me, it's gonna be fine." Slap.
Mhm.
And she gave me the slap. Oh, and I was like, and I was like, okay, fine. She took the direction well, and then yeah, that was my first thing with you. That was my first meeting and my first job with you there.
Yeah.
So how long you been single?
A week?
A week. It's a bit early to be messing with me, A week.
Yeah. I'm completely over my ex.
You sure about that?
Yeah. not like I'm bothered him sitting over there flirting with that girl.
Your ex is here.
Yeah. Oh no, he didn't. Morgan.
Yeah.
Morgan!
What? Christ's sake, Nicole!
Yeah.
That was fun.
But because I remember that day, because it was like, I remember writing that scene, but I was like, I don't have the money to try and cast somebody just for a slap. So I thought, let me just have all these extras and see who wants to just do it. And you were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I'll do it. And I was like, perfect. I was like, what's your name? It was like, Morgan, perfect. So we're just going to write that and add that into the script. And I remember we did it a couple times and she really gave you a hard slap. Like we could hear it, you know, like the sound of a clap. It was like,
Oh, yeah, it was
oh.
good.
But then there was also like two versions. So basically in the script, originally I had it as like she would throw water in your face, right? And
Yes.
and I was like, okay, we only can do this one take. So I was like, okay, let's do the slap instead. So we did the slap and then we did the water take, but the water take wasn't great. So we just left it. And you even accepted getting water thrown on you. So I was like, you know what? This guy's committed. And I was saying to you, I was like, I've got a role for you. Don't worry, I'm gonna come back. And I was like, I stuck to my word, and we'll get into that in a second. So, but that was a fun day, and that was a huge shoot for me as well. For me to like under my production company and producing something so big, like that was a huge day. We booked out, you know, that Holborn hotel, that whole room. You know, it was a 12-hour day. Had to feed everybody, and it was a lot for myself just to produce that whole shoot by myself independently. And we pulled it off, and it was great because in that episode of Nate and Jamie, it was a speed dating episode. And looking back, I'm like, why did I write this? Like, I knew my budget limitations, but you know what? It turned out fine, and it's such a great memory and what it kind of developed into, because you later then came back for the spin-off to that called Imperfect, and you ended up playing the same character with the girl Haley. That's the actress's name, Haley, who's done really well. She's been in the Netflix series as well recently as well.
Oh wow, well done.
So she's doing really good. And yeah, so you played this Morgan as well, because I was like, you know what, continuity. I wasn't gonna like change up your name. And you played, I'm trying to think, how could we even describe a character? Very outspoken, take no prisoners character, and you really embodied that character. He's such a villain. So like, what was it like for you to kind of, for me personally, to stick to my word and bring you back?
True. You did stick to your word and bring me back. So I appreciate that. I think I got like a few lines. I think there was a script to it this time, and obviously I'm in it. And this one was mainly we all coming back, we're talking about various different things, and then the girls storm off and go off into a different room, leaving the boys kind of like what happened there.
Yeah.
So off the top of my head, it's been a while since I remember it. And I just remembered, I think at the time I didn't know the lines, or not everyone knew or was comfortable with what we were doing in the lines. And I think you kind of sensed it and was like, all right, so this is what I need to happen. How are we going to get there? And a lot of it was ad-libbed, but this is the thing, it was kind of funny because everyone was kind of working off each other to try and make something interesting and funny. So when you see, if anyone goes back and sees that scene,
I'm gonna have to insert these clips because it's so funny.
Yeah, it's kind of mad to look back on it because I've seen it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I look back on it and think that's one of my proudest like acting roles, because it was literally, I was scared because I didn't know the lines, but it worked so well that these kind of moments that we drew out, the funny lines here, and it was a party atmosphere, but there was something undertone bubbling through, and I'm just this loud mouth just chatting away, just going like a mile a minute. And then I just said something rude about, and then we did it as improvised line.
Yes.
That's one of the rehearsals. But I said it to, I forgot his name. Was it James? Was it James?
Yes, James. Yes.
He's was a brilliant actor. I think he's doubled for Mr. Momoa, Jason Momoa. So he's doing okay. But we did one of these lines where it was like, oh, so do you follow the football? And so the girls left, and he goes, nah, I'm not really into it. But if anything, I'm a Man United fan. And I was like, there's a reason why I didn't like you. So that wasn't even in the script, but I just thought it'd be nice to throw it out.
Yeah.
And it was nice that you kept it in, and it was just, I just felt every so often I might look on it and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I can do this. I can do this acting gig. This is pretty good. I got it.
No, that was brilliant because I remember that scene. Like I remember, every the scene leading up to it was fine, but then we needed something like I remember Yaz. I don't know if you remember. She was directing that episode. Remember Yaz? She
Yes,
was like, yeah.
yeah,
And so she
yeah.
said we need something else, like a reaction shot and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I don't know, like. I couldn't think of anything on the time because, if I'm honest, at that time I had been up for like almost 48 hours at that point. So my brain was
Mm,
fried. So I
mm.
was like, just improv anything and see what happens. And when you came up with that, I remember we erupted in laughter because it was so funny and it just worked so well. And that's one thing I loved about doing the show, and I love about working with actors. And I like to make sure that you guys improv and add your own bits to the character, because that's what makes it more organic and authentic. Because sometimes you've
Mm.
given words and lines and it's like, well, normal people don't talk like that, and so that's why it worked, and that's why we kept it in, because it was just so funny. So yeah, amazing.
Good, 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 good. As long as it was funny.
No, it was honestly, everyone who I know who's seen that bit, they crack up laughing. So I'm gonna have to like insert it in this
There might be a lot of
episode.
inserts because we will be referring back to this and to that
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this
yeah,
as
because
well.
it will be funny for people who don't know.
It's not awkward at all, is it?
Do you follow football, mate?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Man United.
I knew there's a reason I didn't like you.
So I want to go all the way back. So to the
Oh
beginning,
yeah,
your
okay.
career. So how did you get started as an actor?
Okay. Well, I'm going to betray my age now. So I started out at theatre studies in college. So this is like 2006, 2009. And at the time in Leeds, there was like I was good at football. So I went there initially for the academy. So they had an academy in the college that if you did really well, you would be able then to go to Leeds Football
Okay.
Academy. I've always liked films, making films. I like the idea of watching TV and TV shows and understanding stories. I've always been interested in that. And they had a course all about PE, but also theatre. So they had their own theatre space. And I thought, well, yeah, I've always wanted to do a bit of acting, learn more about it. And this was mainly about learning how to put on plays, theatre, understanding the Brecht Shakespearean ideas of working. It didn't go into too much detail about acting. It just mainly talked about the practicality of it and staging. And I loved it. And then I realized I'm not going to be a good footballer here because a lot of people who are very good, who are better than me, are not making it as pro. And I figured I could take maybe 15, 20 years to become a footballer and never make it to the Premier League, and which I've always wanted to do. I might break my leg, and my dad was always like, "You need a fallback plan," and I figured the fallback plan was acting. So that's exactly what I decided to do. I moved to London straight after college. Worked at Vodafone for a bit, mainly full time, and then part time I'd be trying to make my way. Didn't work out so well because it's expensive in London, and I was a skinny black kid from Bradford, so that dried up very quickly. But I moved back to London after spending some time at BT, doing various sales jobs and things like that. But I always had acting as the thing I wanted to get back into. And in 2016, I had the opportunity to have enough money to just save up, and thought, you know what, if I never try and do this full time, I'll never do it. And with acting, as most actors will tell you, you have to kind of dedicate a lot of your life to it. So you can't really have a full time job because it's not necessarily back then. But if you have interviews, a lot of it was very London centric, and you had to go to Soho, you had to go to the central Londons to do these things. You have to spend quite a lot of time. Back then, it was Star Now and Casting Call Collective and jumping on Spotlight. Once you've got an agent, updating the show reel, replying to these things. So it takes a lot of time. It's a full time job. So you can't have a full time job if you want to take it seriously. So I was lucky enough to quit it in 2016, set up the own production company in 2017. And like I say, grafting, literally jumping on websites, jumping on doing various different student films or no money films in terms of just expenses only, and just slowly but surely getting experience on set, mainly doing TV work, short films, doing a bit of extra work. Extra work is I wouldn't say is the best place if you want to be a featured actor, but it enables you to get on set and have a good understanding. And we'll go into that a little bit later on about understanding everyone's role on a film set and on a TV set, what the sound man does, what the grips do, what the ADs do, what the directors do. And it just gives you an understanding of, as an actor, what these people need from you for you to do your best work. If someone's asking you to hit your mark, for example, most people who aren't aware of it or aren't familiar with it aren't sure of, okay, I got to hit that mark at that time because that's what the camera needs for you to be in focus. And then also the lighting is directed for that mark. The sound man is doing there. So if you're not hitting it at the right spot, you're just not giving yourself the best performance. And obviously, as an actor, you might not be able to get on set as much as you might like. So it's always good to be able to do that as an extra. And I did that for various years as well. So I worked on various things. So I did Marvel TV shows, Marvel films, DC ones. So I've been to Pinewood Studios a bunch, Warner Brothers a bunch, Shepperton a bunch, doing various different things as an extra and as an actor as well. And then there was a breakthrough in 2019, I would say. So from 2017 to 2019, just 2 years of just grafting, just jumping on set. And in 2019, there was a bit of a breakthrough where I thought I was going to become a star. So I did a couple of good TV shows, which were cool, just a little bit of a line here and there. And then I got an offer to do some standing and doubling work. And that was for Samuel Jackson on The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Now, believe it or not, if you shave my head and stick me in his kind of clothes to the side, I kind of look like him profile-wise. So I did that, and standing work, just in case anyone doesn't know, if to help out with the crew, to make sure that the set is lit properly and make sure everything is in frame for the camera, to not waste the actor's time, what they try and do is get a standing or a picture double to align up that similar height, similar skin tone, so that they know, okay, when the actor comes, we don't have to waste time trying to get them in frame on shot. So that was what I was doing for him on The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which was weird because it's one of the best casted films that, if I'm being honest with you, is not the best film to watch. I mean, watch it for the actors, because the actors in it are amazing. If you can imagine, I always say this, we were in a post office in Greenford, which is in West London, far side of West London. It was a disused post office. So when there was an overflow over Christmas, post office would open up this office to be able to send the parcels over Christmas. But in the 10 months or the 11 months of the year, it was rented out to this film company. And they had Samuel Jackson, Morgan Freeman, Salma Hayek, Ryan Reynolds, Antonio Banderas, Frank Grillo, just to name a few. There was other people as well that popped up and done other things, but them are the big 5, 6 names. And I just see them walking around doing different things. And I was there halfway through it thinking, I would have done this for free. Did they not know I would have done this for free? I just feel like I shouldn't get paid for this, but I got paid for it. And then I was lucky enough. So this is a funny thing. So I was lucky enough. So we spent 3-4 months in Greenford in London. And then there's bits where they're filming abroad. So they're filming it in Croatia. Now I was like, they haven't asked me if I'm going to Croatia. And I'm like, I'm pretty certain there's no black people in Croatia. So I have this feeling that they might need me to double in and stand in. So I was there just biding my time, thinking to myself, well, I'm going to wait until the last minute, and then I'm going to go to one of the ADs and be like, so, I appreciate, obviously, the opportunity. Who's going to stand in for Samuel Jackson for about a month while you're in Croatia? And they were like, we don't know. Let me get back to you. And long story short, I was lucky enough to fly out to Croatia. And if you've never been, please go. It's beautiful, especially this time of year. Split, Rijeka, Rovinj, all of Dubrovnik, which is the capital city. But the islands around Split are some of the most amazing you'll ever see. It's cheap as chips as well. So you can get a beer for literally £1, a pint of beer for £1. And lovely food, lovely weather. People are nice, especially when you're filming in their city. So that was a good 4 or 5 months of an acting masterclass, because you get to see Samuel Jackson acting across from Ryan Reynolds, and he has a different energy to Salma Hayek, who has a different energy to Antonio Banderas, who has a different energy to everyone else. And it was just great just to sit back and just watch how they do rehearsals, because this is the stuff that you wouldn't see unless you may have gone to like acting school, and I didn't go to acting school. But it's how the actors interact with each other to try and break down the scenes and then be able to perform, which was a fantastic masterclass. And Samuel Jackson is one of the nicest, most professional people ever. He is probably the best actor I've ever seen working on set. And I saw obviously Morgan Freeman as well, so I'm not sitting there saying, and Ryan Reynolds is a good actor, but he's the best. We also did pickups, and this is one of the reasons why I think he's really brilliant, because he's able to retain a lot of dialogue. I mean, all you need to do is give him the script, and within 20, 30 minutes, he's got the lines down. I've only ever seen him, and I've worked with him 5 times, ever miss up a line. He's that good. He's just that good. Very giving, very generous. He won't disappear if someone's off screen. So if the camera's on someone else and you've got set lines behind them, he'll be there, be present to try and give you the performance he can. So he's very professional, very good at that as well. So I've got a good little understanding of what he was doing there. And that was, again, 4 or 5 months. I then, like I said, did the TV work. So I'm thinking I'm going to LA. So in 2019, I'm like, end of 2019, I'm like, all right, I'm moving to LA. It's time to some money. I'm gone. This is good.
Nice. That's such a good rundown of your whole career up until this point. Very detailed, which is good because it's nice to hear the highs, the lows, and what you kind of gain from it and what you learn from, And I love the points that you made about being an extra. Yeah. Being an extra isn't, people think, this is my big shot, I'm going to be an extra. They'll give you 2 lines, so they might give you 1 line, but that's not going to like transcend your career. Like anybody can be an extra. Do you get what I mean? Like, I have friends who have no interest in being an actor, but they'll just do it because it's money. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, it's not the thing. If you just want to get some money while you still audition and whatever, do it. And it's like getting that on-set experience and understanding set decorum, set language, is very, very important, even in any industry you work in, especially like if in our creative industry, even in theater too. Like if you're just a dancer on the back, like make sure you're there. Like, do you understand? Like, or even if you're just an understudy, it's important to just be there because you're going to learn so much, and it's a good journey that you've done. And I think it's also good to see what happened next, because I'm always seeing you everywhere, Morgan. I don't know why you're trying to be humble. Okay, I've seen you wide commercials, right? I'm on the tube and I'm seeing you everywhere. I'm like, hey, Morgan, there he is. I'm like, so Morgan, it's like as soon as we stop working together, you just blew up. And you know what? I'm not going to be humble, okay? Because I've just noticed in my track record, everybody who's worked with me, they've gone on to do amazing. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying, I have a knack.
You're the connect.
Yes, I am the connect, okay? Some people keep telling me I need to start my own agency. I'm like, that's money. But I have a knack clearly for picking talent because you guys have just all soared and are doing so well. So, I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but like, what is it like for you with your production company now being a full on creative? You're writing, you're acting, you're directing, like, what's that like for you? And a lot of the stuff you've done, you've got on your own. You didn't go to drama school and stuff like that. You really just kind of been able to maneuver so quickly, from essentially moving to London and saying, this is what it's going to be. So like, talk me through that. How have you been able to kind of do that? Because not a lot of people understand the necessity of creating the opportunities for yourself, especially as an actor.
Rejection is your friend. And you got to learn the lessons through rejection as well. As an actor, most people are like, oh, why? Especially when you go through rounds. So you go through the first stage, the second stage, the third stage, and you think to yourself, I'm pretty close to getting the role, and you don't get it. I mean, that can be a dagger to your heart. So you just need to be resilient and just keep going. And I've always been somebody who's like, look, if it doesn't happen right now, it'll happen when the time comes. And I think most people are impatient. I was incredibly impatient. I can only tell you from the many hours of counseling and the many hours of reflecting on my own journey and thinking, actually, if I'd have got and become a success or a star when I was 19, I probably would have died because I would have done every bad thing that a young star would have probably done, and probably worse.
Yeah,
So
right.
you grow and you mature, and then you understand it's not about getting that role, it's about the journey along the way. I think that's what I've learned through many years of doing it, because you think to yourself, okay, this is the role that's going to blow, and then all of a sudden it doesn't blow for you, or no one ever sees the film, so no one ever sees how great you are. You can't allow the output to define who you are. And I think sometimes, especially when I see younger actors on stage, where they're like, "Oh, I'm going to be a star. That's what I'm going to be," or "I'm going to be a YouTube personality," or "I'm going to be a podcaster," and that's their aim. That I'm going to be the next Joe Rogan, or I'm going to be the next this, or I'm going to be the next that. To understand that you might not be. You might just be a jobbing actor on EastEnders, and that might be you for 50 years. That's it. And no one outside of this British Isles will ever see you. You might have one flash in the pan or two moments on Netflix, and then that might be it. How do you navigate that actual journey, that emotional peaks and troughs? I think that will define you as a person, but also as a creative. I then did a few courses, writing courses, read a lot of books. Robert McKay, My Story is a brilliant one. Hero with a Thousand Faces as well, brilliant books to read if you want to become a better screenwriter, especially. And then I started writing the type of roles I wanted. And they were all terrible in the beginning, because they are always going to be terrible, because you're always going to riff off what you've seen. So the films and the TV shows that you've seen, which are all the same regurgitated nonsense. So you need to do a few of those drafts. You need to maybe go through a couple of years of doing trash, and it's going to be trash. And people, if you try and apply for competitions, you will probably not win. Maybe you'll win maybe one or two times, and if you're really amazing and special, fair play. But most of us have to go through that redraft and understand that it's got to come from deeper. It's got to come from your own, not your own, it's your own truth. It's probably the best way of describing it. So my first short film, Norman, was, even though it's not the best film, came from a place of truth, because it came from my uncle's best friend died because of he committed suicide. And we used to play football together, and we used to have a laugh, me, my uncle, and his friend. And so when I heard he died, I was really taken back by it. And I asked what happened. They said, we didn't know. It was just suicide. He just was depressed, and he didn't know, and no one talked about it. So it was just an explanation of, okay, I feel like I need to say that more people need to talk about these types of things. So that's where that first short, it felt authentically mine, as it were. It felt like it came from a place of reality, and it had universal themes. So it had themes which everyone else who wasn't Black, who wasn't going through that, who didn't know my uncle's friend Norman, they obviously understood it, because they may have seen people gone through it themselves, but it came from a real place with me. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Morgan, we've run out of time. Yeah. Yes. But honestly, it was so good to just like hear your journey as into what you've been doing and what you've been able to do just to like inspire so many people, and the work that you're doing. I love it, and it's so good. And I know you're going to continue to soar. So where can people find you to see like everything else you've got coming up and see the stuff you've done as well? So yeah.
Probably Instagram is probably the best part, because I'll have my upcoming projects I've done. So the Instagram handle is Morgan NO12. So Morgan number 2, basically, or number 12.
Nice.
But yes.
And your production company
Thanks,
too.
mate.
And your
yes, PBM Entertainment,
yes.
Powerful Beyond Measure Entertainment. So yes, thank you very much. Let me know in the comments or anything like those lines if you've seen me, and yeah, I'll keep you posted or everything. And thank you very much, mate, for letting me get to talk about it. Obviously, we might need a part 2 to go into it.
Definitely.
I feel like there was more questions you wanted to ask, but
yes, there was, but time ran out. You know how it goes. Well, thanks guys for tuning in to another episode of my podcast. You can follow me all on my usual socials. You know them. There's a bunch of them. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.